Hello, everyone. Welcome to Talks at Google. I'm Kevin Vlk, and today we welcome Harrison Ford for Blade Runner 2049.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thanks.
How are you? So welcome to Google.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, well, excited to have you here.
Well, I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So you're returning a role that you created over 35 years ago. And the world and the character has obviously changed a bit since 2019. But when you were first called to return to the role...
Not to mention me.
And you.
Yeah.
Not too much.
Yeah. Plenty.
No. But so did you work with Denis, the director, and the writers, Hampton Fancher and Michael Green, on developing the character of where Deckard is now?
You know, I worked more with Denis, the director, and on the script, but mostly I filtered my input and concerns through Denis. I read the novella that Ridley and Hampton Fancher, one of the original writers, developed as a kind of exercise prior to the script, writing the script. And I said, that would be good. That would be good. And then when the script came, then I began to work with Denis. I really wanted to establish my connection to him.
And did you have any concerns about coming back to the character at all?
Not about coming back to the character, just about, you know, taking advantage of the opportunity to get the most out of the potential that there was in revisiting the character after so many years.
Yeah, it's incredibly difficult to talk about the film, by the way, so you'll see this with the questions, and because the plot's basically a spoiler. So is that difficult as you go through some of this talking about the film and in terms of not spoiling stuff?
No.
No? You just keep it simple.
I don't enjoy talking that much.
This should go great then.
For free.
How much it cost?
Huh?
Just kidding.
No. I'm happy to talk, but
Yeah.
You know, I want to save it for the audience. I want to save it for you guys.
Yeah.
I don't want to tell you what happens. Why would you want to read in today's newspaper what's going to happen tomorrow? I mean, why would you go into a movie if you knew how it was going to end?
Right. Well, it's unbelievable. We were talking off stage, and you had called it.
I'd call it fucking epic.
And it was.
And then I said, "Can you say fuck here?" And he said, "Yes."
I gave Harrison Ford permission to swear. Yes. Not that you need it, by the way. You don't need it. You don't need it.
No.
You don't need it. But there's a great cast with Jared Leto and Robin Wright and Ryan Gosling. So when Ryan Gosling, him stepping into a Blade Runner role, did you give him any advice on what he should be doing? No.
The man can sing. The man can dance. The man can play the piano. He doesn't need any advice from me. He was a mouseketeer. No, I'm serious. He's been in the business as long as I have, and he's only half my age, or less, I think. Anyway, he's a great guy to work with. I had the best time working with him, and not that it matters, but I like him.
No, and he's phenomenal, and just the use of what I found out about the film was the use of practical effects and building real sets and not relying a lot too much on CG. But you've been on both worlds in terms of you've worked a lot with practical effects, but you've also worked a lot with CG. Do you like one over the other, or do you see any positives or negatives to?
No, I think there's huge positive in working in a physical space. I mean, just sitting here, I'm relating to the sound of my voice in this space. I'm relating to the closeness of the people in the front row. I can smell something. Not. Was that you? Man. But it gives me a sense of reality that I don't even think about because it's there, and so you combine that with what the visual information when you walk onto a set. You know, for instance, there's a scene in the office of the character played by Jared Leto, and I think it's no secret that it's a visual environment that telegraphs power and great unnatural power, and so that's communicated. And a picture is worth 1,000 words, and so you pick up from that point. You know, it's not like, but you can be pre-armed with a visual CG storyboard that's going to be supplied later, but it's not exactly the same. You can't bounce the sound off a storyboard.
Yeah. And it's a great point. And you revisited this character of Deckard. And what's actually interesting was watching the original film, which was super interesting to see how ahead of its time it was as well with its practical effects and its use of models.
Yeah.
And so
how about its predictions of scientific developments?
That's where I was going.
That's the part that blows me away. The capacity that we have now to create what we call replicants, medically possible, has advanced, far beyond anybody's actual expectation.
Yeah.
And today, in this particular environment where we are facing people that suddenly, for the sake of their own convenience, have chosen not to believe in science anymore, it's pretty important that we understand that what kind of logic, reality science is responsible for, and the sort of moral story of that's part of the film is that it's only our capacity to build a human being and then own it because it's your intellectual property. Yeah. There's no free will, no free choice, no human opportunity, no human potential, but to have a programmed, biologically identical creature to a human being and to own it, well, that's what we used to call slavery. But it's only the moral constraint of science that keeps it from happening. I mean, we can create life in a petri jar, and we've agreed, or a petri dish, and we've decided not to go much further than that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and this actually goes to one of the questions. We took questions from social media and from Googlers, and one of the questions was the original 1982 film predicted a lot of technology that we would have now, and 2049 does some of the same, where you start seeing where technology could be, and we're actually pretty close. So as life is imitating art, artificial intelligence, toxic smog, video calls, what lessons do you think of that world will be inform us on how to not repeat mistakes or...
Well, I mean, we know what not to do. Yeah. And so the message is, don't do that. We turn the world into a shithole. And so don't do that. Individually or as a culture, impose the positive nature of humanity on the world instead of the negative nature. Protect nature.
Yeah,
Nature doesn't need people.
it's true.
People need nature to survive.
It's true. I don't have a segue, but it's dark. I'm sorry, but sorry, I know. But you revisited Deckard and now Han Solo and Indiana Jones, and I'm sure a lot of people ask you about which character you want to revisit again. But is there a character that you really do love that you feel like their story is closed and you've moved on?
Oh, there's a lot of characters. I mean, I don't have favorites. I love the opportunity to tell stories that the audience wants to hear. I think it's a public service occupation to be a storyteller. We need those stories to be told in a variety of different styles, you know, movies, music, whatever. We need stories about ourselves to inform us and remind us of our common humanity.
Are there any films or stories that you've read or seen that have done that for you?
Well, there are films that I've been in that have, well, I mean, do it for me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I just got out of a car listening to Albert King song, and I spent 3 minutes there making you
It was
wait.
fine. It was fine.
Well, because nobody walks out on Albert King.
No.
So yeah, but I get it every day. I get it out of a nod on the street. I get it out of Albert King.
Yeah. Was there a role?
Getting it now. Thank you very much.
Was
And I
there?
hope you're getting it back. It's only fair.
Was there a role or character that you felt once you found that character that it kind of grew you as an actor, or even as a person?
That what?
That it grew you, like just
Grew me as a character. Every one of them.
every one of them.
Every one of them, because you don't. Well, first of all, you explore the life and the quality of mind of a character, but you're also working with a group of people, a new tribe. Every movie is a new bunch of people with new heads and new. It's just this process is really sustaining and engaging and challenging, demanding, and that's the part I really love.
Is there anyone, and this is probably hard for you, but like, is there anyone who you haven't worked with before that you still want to work with, in terms of director or actor or writers?
Yeah, sure.
Who?
Oh,
If there was one.
If there was one,
Just well, 10.
oh man,
I don't know.
no, I just can't go there. I don't know how to go there. Honestly,
Fair.
Albert King.
You've been in this film. It's very physically demanding. There's a lot of stunts and physical work that you do with Ryan and in water and everything. How did you approach
Being
those?
in water is not quite
Awful.
physically demanding. I had a shower this morning.
Yeah. And that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about a shower scene with Harrison in there.
exhaust me. It was, there's some physical. I like physical acting.
Yeah.
That's great. I love that kind of stuff. But I did. This is not. There's a bit. There's enough.
Yeah.
But that's not the kind of movie this is, for me.
Yeah.
I mean, there's good stuff, good action in it.
Yeah. So we talked about kind of the negatives with Blade Runner, but is there anything with the technology or a piece of technology from the original Blade Runner or this one that you would like to see become a reality?
Ryan keeps saying that he wants a flying car, but I fly airplanes, so I don't care.
You don't need the flying car. Nah, it's
I
fine.
don't need no flying car. No. I want to see that technology which will help us the natural world. And I want to see us devote our energy to making lives better and promoting some kind of even opportunity for people that haven't had their shot yet. And,
In anything across all fields?
Against
Like in terms of people who haven't had their shot, like in...
No, I just mean cultures that, you know, that maybe are going to get gobbled up to be somebody else's breadbasket, or I'm concerned about, you know, what we have done as one of the highest consuming nations in the world, and what we're asking the rest of the world to do now to save our asses. And I want to, you know, I want to see the forces at hand that keep us from really fully exploiting the potential of alternative forms of energy, because they've got such a stake in fossil fuels and that technology. We better get on with it, or we're gone.
Yeah. It's a scary time.
Well, it's scary, but it's also exciting. I mean, I'm sitting in here and I'm looking at all this supposed brain power and opportunity, and I can see around here that it's fun to go to work, and so let's, you know, get other people to get to work and get it done.
So a few questions from social media, which you love, I know, and Google employees. But was there without going too much into spoilers, was there what was the most difficult scene for you to film, or challenging scene? Nothing.
I love going to work. I don't have anything difficult.
What was the most enjoyable scene then?
It's,
Next
you
question.
know what the fun of it is? No, the fun of it is that in a certain sense, you go armed with what you think is necessary. You identify the bit of story that you want to create behavior around, because every scene should have a reason to be there. You want to make sure you're not doing the same thing over and over again, sort of that kind of thing. You want to be available there. But you also, for me, I love the problem-solving aspects of it. All of a sudden, the director wants a shot, you know, to motivate the camera, and the camera's got to follow the actor. Why would I go out to the other side of the room? Little stuff like that, or the dialogue isn't really feeling authentic. And then, you know, what do you do in collaboration with all of the other people involved to solve that problem?
Did you have any advice?
That's the real fun of it. That's what makes you feel good about the day.
Yeah. Do you have like a particular director or someone you work with where like you got that from them and you just remember this is a piece of advice that I will carry through with all my other films?
Well, there was a guy named Mike Nichols who a great film director. He was half of Nichols and May, great stage director. One of the smartest guys I ever met, and funny, hugely funny guy. But on the occasion of one of some early success, or attachment to somebody else's success, which is really what it's about, a common success, he said to me, don't let them turn you into a thing. Now, I still don't know exactly what that means.
No, do I?
But it'll come to you.
After all these years.
Well, I mean, somebody will approach you with something that is not who you are or what you want to be, but has a utility to them or a perceived utility to them, and that I'll call that a thing.
Great answer. Another question from social was, so you were talking a little bit about scenes and stuff like that. Do you have do you have a preference between the original cut of Blade Runner or the original, or the final cut or the director's cut? Any of the cuts that you like? Did you rewatch one? I guess going into this.
Did I rewatch one of those? Yeah, I rewatched what Ridley called his director's cut, or was his final director's cut, or his last chance cut, or the one after that. I don't.
Yeah, we have no more money cut.
But yeah, we're shit out of money.
Yeah, we should have money.
Yeah, that I like the one without the voiceover narration and the drive into the sunset. I like the one that ends with me picking up the unicorn and stepping into the elevator and the doors closing. Now, I don't know if that one's still out there.
It is, yeah.
Or not. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one I just watched.
Well, I'd like to see that one in the new IMAX format. I haven't seen that. That would be interesting to see that, what the visual change is.
Yeah. So a few more from social. What should we expect of Deckard and his evolution with the Blade Runner universe from the first film to now 2049?
Expect nothing.
Spoilers.
Huh?
Spoilers.
No. I thought you were talking about.
Just evolution of his character.
Let me leave it at that. Expect nothing. That just go in cold.
Yeah. What was the first thing that you thought when you found out there was going to be a Blade Runner sequel?
Well, Ridley called me and said, "Would you, in theory, would you be interested in revisiting the character?" And he's quoted as saying that I said, "Meh." Which is bullshit. I said yes, I would. If I can figure out how to do it, if I show me a script. And that's when I got this novella that I talked about earlier.
Mm-hmm. And how did reprising the role of Deckard compare to returning as Han Solo or Indiana Jones?
It's just two different things. That's how they compare.
There we go. They know.
Two completely different things.
Okay. That's an employee question, so.
No, that's all right.
Not mine. Do not credit me with that.
No, there's nothing wrong with the question, but that is the answer.
Yeah. They don't compare. And I'll leave it with, if you had to describe yourself with 3 words, what would it be?
Almost done. There is no 4th word. What, now you want 4 words?
No, it's all right. So thank you so much for being here. Blade Runner 2049 is out next week on October 6th. It is
fucking awesome.
So it is.